Welcome to this week's Real Estate Deal Breakdown. Today I'm going to talk about a flip that I am doing right now on Iris Lane in Beacon, New York. And I'm going to tell you how I found the deal, what the numbers could be if the deal works out. And I'm going to tell you how there's multiple exit strategies here in the event that our first plan doesn't go the way as planned. Because in real estate, sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose, sometimes you're going to break even. So I'm going to tell you all about this property and how most likely it will be a pretty good deal. So if you're not familiar with me, my name is Greg Helbeck, and I've been a full-time real estate investor now for 10 plus years, done well over 400 properties in very difficult areas on the East and the West Coast. So everything you're going to learn here, from whether it's a solo video like this or a podcast, is legit. If you get value, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, or share the show if you're listening to this on audio, or post it on social media if you're a real dog. And we'll go from there. So today we're going to talk about Iris Lane Part 1. How did we find the deal? This lead came in from pay per lead. So we bought the lead through a vendor. I think we bought a package of leads a couple of years ago, actually, which is moral of the story in a minute. And, most of the leads we bought on that package were absolute garbage. This one at the time wasn't great. Guy wasn't selling. As they say, the fortune is in the follow-up. Anyway, we kind of wrote the lead off because he wasn't selling anytime soon. And he texted Brett, or called him out of the blue like a month and a half ago, and was like, hey, I'm ready to sell right now. And then Brett went back in, looked at the notes, saw that we offered $350 like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And he called me and said, hey, can you still pay $350? I said, absolutely, I can. Got the deal under contract, got a hard money lender, funded the deal, closed the deal within like 25 days, which is really fast in New York, and bought the property, let the seller stay there for a week. So he had a week to move his stuff out. And we got the house vacant, and this was where the construction plan began. And the spoiler alert is that there was no construction plan, because our goal on this property, and it's still going on right now, is that this was going to be a wholesale house, which means that you buy the house at a wholesale price, and then you clean it out and sell it on the retail market. And I looked at the numbers. $350 was the purchase price. We thought the ARV, which is the repaired value if you did a full renovation, was like $550-ish. Ballpark, $525 to $550. The rehab on this, if you were to do a full-blown rehab with everything, is probably $75,000 to $90,000, depending on what you ultimately do and don't do. So we're like, okay, if we pay $350 for this property and we put in, let's say, $80,000, so that takes you to $430, plus you're going to have like $60,000 in soft costs. So you'd be in for $490. And you'd be selling it for, let's say, $525 worst case, which would be a $35K profit, which isn't great if you're spending that much money. Now, is it most likely going to sell for more if it was renovated? Yes, but we always like to be conservative with our numbers, right? So I said, okay, well, what do you think this house is worth as is? And my realtor, my buddy, good friend of mine, said probably about $450-ish. So then I did the math and I said, well, if we can sell it as is, makes a lot more sense than having to renovate it and hold it and get permits and all that kind of BS. So that's our first plan of action. And right now it's on the market. It just got listed this morning, and we already have a showing, and probably have more showings. So if we can sell the house as is for $450 or even $440, it makes a lot more sense to do that. Now, you don't want to bank your whole business on selling houses as is. So then, if we have to renovate it, we can always renovate it afterwards. And that's the great thing about wholetailing when you have multiple exits, is you can try to sell it as is. And if it works, great. If it doesn't work, you can take it off the market, renovate it, and then sell it again, right? And then plan C is that, if it had to be a rental for some reason, if it won't sell, which would be highly unlikely, it makes sense as a rental because it's in a good location. It's a good house. People want to live in this area. It's in Beacon, New York. It's one of the hottest places in New York State, and probably the hottest place in the Hudson Valley. So the location is absolute money, and the neighborhood is absolute money. And there's comps in the same neighborhood, different houses, that are going in the 7s and the 9s. And this is literally in the same subdivision. So there's a lot of upside to this area. So that is the plan of action. So we got the lead from pay per lead. It was a long-term follow-up where the seller ultimately called Brett back years later and was ready to sell. And we'll see what exit strategy we do on this. Hopefully it sells as is, and that would be great. Now, if it does sell as is, like I said earlier, probably be a $45,000, $50,000 profit, which is not bad at all. That's a great standard profit in that area. So what are some lessons you can learn? Lesson number one, the fortune is in the follow-up, right? Most leads are not selling right now. Many of the leads are selling in the future, so you have to have a way to stay in touch with them through a good CRM. That's lesson number one, follow-up. Lesson number two, location, 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 location. That is so important. That's like the oldest tale in real estate. When I found out where this house was, I said, I don't even need to see it. I'm ready to wrap it up right now. And I actually went there afterwards just to confirm some things, but we already had it fully in contract with a deposit. before I even showed up there because of the location. Location is key. The third lesson here, when you buy properties at the right number, most times you're going to have multiple exit strategies. This could be an as-is sale. This could be a renovate and resell sale with the ARV rehab. This could be a rental property sale. We have multiple exits on this same transaction or the same property. And when you can always buy properties at the right number that allows you to have multiple exit strategies, it makes the deals that much better because you don't have to bank on one strategy working. So that is Iris part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. If you're in the Hudson Valley or Seattle or Delaware and you have a house you want to wholesale to me, I am a cash buyer. Or if you want to wholesale with me, we can always JV wholesale. Send me an email if you have a deal, greg@velocityhousebuyers.com, or you can drop me a DM on Instagram at grego37, and I will see you on the next REI Deal Breakdown. Take care.